Hello and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I have some breaking news coming out here for you. So let's talk about Russia and let's talk about Dmitry Peskov, the Kremlin spokesman. Okay, so this is him right here in that picture. And Dmitry Peskov is coming out and saying that Russia and NATO are now in direct confrontation. Okay, this is really huge news because he's the main spokesman for the Kremlin. Okay, now, is this a surprise to anybody? No, probably not. It's really not much of a surprise if you follow this channel and you follow what's happening over here with Russia and Ukraine. Obviously, the West is supplying Ukraine with weapons, intelligence, knowledge, training the troops, everything. Okay, this is basically NATO fighting Russia through a proxy, which is Ukraine. So we've got Dmitry Peskov now saying this, and he said NATO was already involved in the conflict surrounding Ukraine and continues to move towards our borders and expand its military infrastructure towards our borders. So what is he talking about there? Well, he's saying that NATO has expanded their presence. And is that something they've done over the last, I don't know, 5 or 10 years? Yeah, they've been definitely expanding their presence. And especially after Putin went into Ukraine, that's when Finland joined, and Sweden now joined too. So NATO is basically all over the borders of Russia for the most part, except for obviously Belarus and Ukraine. Now, will Ukraine ever become a NATO member? Probably not anytime soon. Would they in the future if they won this war against Russia? I don't know. We'll have to see because I just don't really see a possibility here where this war can end peacefully without it turning into a worldwide war, including NATO and Russia, and maybe other countries could get involved too. Who knows? China or North Korea, some of the allies to Russia. So I've got some information we're going to go over here. This is on an article on Reuters. This says Kremlin says Russia and NATO are now in direct confrontation. So this just coming out today, actually, April 4th. Russia and NATO are now in direct confrontation, the Kremlin said, as the US led alliance marked its 75th anniversary on Thursday. NATO's successive waves of eastern enlargement are a fixation of President Vladimir Putin, who went to war in Ukraine 2 years ago with a stated aim of preventing the alliance from coming closer to Russia's borders. Instead, the war has galvanized NATO, which has expanded again with the entry of Finland and Sweden. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters, in fact, relations have now slipped to the level of direct confrontation, is what he said. NATO was already involved in the conflict surrounding Ukraine and continues to move towards our borders and expand its military infrastructure towards our borders, he said. Putin has repeatedly said that Russia was cheated by the West in the aftermath of the Cold War as Moscow's Warsaw Pact alliance was disbanded, but NATO moved eastwards by taking in former pact members and the 3 Baltic states that had been part of the Soviet Union. So I know that when it comes to Vladimir Putin, if you saw that interview that he did with Tucker Carlson, he talked a lot about the history of Russia and the Soviet Union and how all these countries, like the Baltics and Ukraine, all used to be supposedly a part of the Soviet Union. Okay, so clearly there's a historical reason for this invasion of Ukraine, but a lot of this I believe has to do with NATO as well. The fact that NATO has expanded on their borders, which is not a completely new thing. Just like the Baltic states, they've been NATO members for quite some time, way before the war began in Ukraine. So maybe Russia just feels threatened by this, and now the fact that Finland and Sweden are now NATO members, that puts military infrastructure right on their doorstep, which is obviously a threat to Russia. So the West rejects that version, saying NATO is a defensive alliance and joining it was a democratic choice by countries that had shaken off decades of communist rule. NATO says it is helping Ukraine fight its survival in the face of Russian aggression and has provided Kiev with advanced weapons, training, and intelligence. Russia says that makes NATO de facto a party to the conflict. Putin said in February that a direct conflict between Russia and NATO would mean the planet was one step away from World War III. I mean, isn't that already World War III technically? If they're claiming they're at war with NATO, I would say yes, technically. I mean, obviously they're not using conventional weapons and directly engaged in fighting, but has the war already began? I would think that there's a very big possibility that we're in the at least in the pre-war phase of conventional fighting between NATO and Russia. So I just wanted to share this with you and let you know what's going on here because this is pretty big news, okay? What's happening over here with Ukraine and Russia, with this war over here, it's really starting to ramp up like quite a bit, okay? Over the past couple months, I feel like we've had more escalation in the last 2 months than we basically had throughout the entire conflict. Okay, there's obviously been war and unfortunately people that are getting killed in this mess too, but the amount of or the high rate of speed basically is what I'm trying to say here of how fast this conflict has escalated over the past couple months has moved so quickly, and we've gone from like just giving arms to Ukraine to okay, now we're at war with Russia. Okay, now we're at war with NATO. Okay, where they're basically accusing each other and saying we're at war with each other. Just crazy when you think about it. And there's just so much information coming out right now. And Ukraine is obviously in a tough spot too, so they're going to be needing a lot of equipment here pretty soon. I'll be doing some more videos on Ukraine. We got lots of information coming out. So let me know what you think down below in terms of this story. Share your thoughts and opinions and concerns down below in the comment section. If you got something out of this video, please smash that like button. And also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, I hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.